Hopefully you can see me today. Hi. Please let me know if you have trouble seeing me or viewing me. I'm going to see what I can do here and make sure we're good. Hi, happy Thursday. I am Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. And if you have any trouble viewing me, like if it's blurry or something, please let me know, reach out. Let me know where you are and where you're watching this video today. I try to go live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. If you are a regular to my channel, welcome back. If you're new, welcome to my video. Every Thursday I try to go live here. It's always a different topic each time. Alabama Gardener here, well, welcome. Today is a different type of topic. Today we're going to talk about when we start planning our fall garden. Can you hear me out there? Can you see me? Hey, everybody. Let's see. Ron LaRue says Rockwall, Texas. So you're not that far from me here. We are in Ben Wheeler, Texas. East Texas, for those of you that don't know the area. Hey, Denise Porter in San Diego. Welcome back to our channel. So I am discussing when you plan your fall garden. So I get asked that a lot. Jackie Jack says Bay Area, California. Welcome. Sorry, I got a hornet flying around me and I really am not a big fan of getting stung right now. So the topic of the video is, when do I plan my fall garden? And the short answer is now. DJ Harper says Northwest Arkansas. Welcome. So I like to plan my garden ahead of time. So in the winter time, when it's freezing cold outside, we're planting our spring crops. And today it is 100 degrees in East Texas, and the heat index, it feels like 122, and I am outside. I was going to go live in my garden, but I don't have a death wish, so I'm under the patio, and I have the large tumbler of water today, full of ice water, because it is hot. And the last couple times I've been on here, I said hydrate, 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 right? It's really important when it's hot, when you're in the garden, and when you're outside to stay hydrated. So that's me. My PSA for the day, stay hydrated. So the short answer to when do I plan my fall garden is now. In the description section of this video, you will find several amazing links to helpful information. My comprehensive planting guide is a great place to start. In that, you will also find my fall garden planning and planting guide. Now, here's a couple reasons why you want to plan now for your fall garden. If you intend to grow garlic this year, now is the time to purchase your seed garlic, because we have a very limited supply and it's a pre-order. So you're purchasing now and we ship it in September, October, and you plant it in October or November, depending on your region. So you want to purchase your seeds early, which takes a little pre-planning, and then you also want to make sure that you have an area planned for your seed garlic, because you don't want to plant all your fall crops and then go, oh, wait a second, I got this garlic that needs a bed or a space, and I don't have the space for garlic. So plan ahead for garlic. That's one of the most important things, because I love garlic. I grow it every year. I still get excited about garlic, so I always make sure that I have extra area, and every year I kind of expand that area so that I can grow more garlic. So that's the first on my list of things that I have to plan ahead for garlic. Now, I posted on Facebook, but I also understand that some of my customers aren't on social media. So I share this information here with you. That fall planning and planting guide is super important. So a customer reached out to me and they said, I'm in your area and I need to know when to plant my tomato seeds for a fall tomato garden. And the answer is now. They actually reached out to me about 2 weeks ago, I think. And it really depends on what you are going to grow, what you plan on growing. Sean says, do you ever make garlic bread from the garlic you grow? Sure, sometimes I do. I don't eat a lot of bread, but I have made garlic bread from my homegrown garlic. I like to add it to different stir fries and things like that. The article I have on preserving garlic is a great place to start if you grow a lot of garlic and you're not sure what to do with it. I actually had a dream last night that I was telling everybody about these tumblers and how great they are to keep you hydrated. I know when I sent my mom one, we got 20 ounces and 30 ounces, and this is the 30 ounce because this heat requires a lot more water. So if you want to plant a fall tomato garden, you also have to take into consideration your frost dates. So if I planted tomatoes right now, tomato seeds right now, I would be probably harvesting at the last week of October. My frost date is generally the 15th of November. So I would have a very short window to start harvesting those tomatoes. Unless, however, I plant a shorter season variety. So if I was going to plant tomatoes right now for a fall crop of tomatoes, I would want to consider planting something that has a shorter growing season. So that would be the Q tomato I mentioned the other day. There's a couple of them as well that I've posted on the faster maturing. The Manitoba, the Glacier tomato, the Moskvich tomato, all three of these are a cool tolerant tomato, and they have a shorter growing season. So if you wanted a fall crop of tomatoes, that would be a great suggestion. But what are some of the fall crops that you like to grow? It really depends on you. The most important part of the planning phase, it is deciding what to plant. Because if you don't like beets, maybe you don't want to plant beets, and that's totally fine. My husband does not like beets, so most of what I plant is for myself, as far as the beets go, or for seeds. So I like to grow them as a double duty crop. He likes the greens, which is great. So the beets can be grown as the actual bulb, the beet, and the greens are edible. So I'll use the greens for stir fries and pastas and things like that, like the sauce. I'll throw it in there and just kind of hide it. Shh, don't tell them I said that. But that's a great double duty crop. And beets are only about 60 days. So it really depends on what you like to grow. If you hate radishes, don't plant them. Plant something else. If you hate radishes but you've never tried them, I highly recommend that you try them. Fall is a great time for watermelon radish. So if you like a fancy radish, watermelon radish has a white and green outside and a red and pink inside. So that's a really good one. Christian says what Mary says, I concur. Long time no see. I know. Welcome back, Christian. So again, what you are planting is going to depend on your frost date as well. So let's get into the frost dates. In wintertime, I was doing a countdown of when to plant for my last frost date. So your last frost date determines when your spring planting outside is. Your first frost date is your fall frost date. And mine, like I mentioned, is November 15th. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take that time. Hey, Vintage Cottage, welcome. I'm going to take my frost date and I'm going to count back. So most of the longer growing fall crops are 90 days. And I tend to add an extra 10 or 20 days to that. So you're going to take your frost date and you're going to count back and determine when you can plant or when you should start planting. So let's see. Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are a longer maturing crop. So you want to count 90 to 100 days, and that will determine when you will be planting your fall crop of Brussels sprouts. Grandma Linda. Hi, Grandma Linda. Grandma Linda is one of my inspirations for homesteading. So for those of you that are just joining me, Denise Porter's my mom, and I just dropped my notes. So you're just going to have to stare at a blank screen for just a second. Hi. So as I mentioned before, it's 100 degrees. It feels like 122 right now, and I'm outside. So I'm feeling a little wonky here in the heat. But that's why it's so funny that we're sitting here I'm sitting here in the heat and you're joining me. And we're talking about what to grow when it's cooler outside, even though it's 100 degrees here. So, what can you plant right now is what I mentioned. What I mentioned in the last video was what can I plant right now? And some of your fall crops are what you're going to be planting now. Some of them are not necessarily fall crops that you can plant now are beans, squash, and okra. I love okra. I'm staring at some 5-foot tall okra plants over there. Those are for my seeds. We've got some new okra varieties that are coming next year. I'm already saving those seeds for next year. So we're collecting. So after I pull up different crops is when I'm going to start figuring out where my fall crop is going to go. So for example, I'll give you an idea of what I did today. I pulled out a bunch of beans. They're spent, they're done. They went in the compost pile because the dead plants plant matter is going to add organic matter to my compost, which is going to feed my garden next year. So I pulled out a bunch of bean plants and I planted squash in their place. So not only are we doing succession planting because we're staggering our crops, I'm also practicing crop rotation. So that was another video that I did a couple months back. So out of the beans that I pulled, I put some squash in. Then I pulled some other squash plants and I put some beans in there. I also pulled the last of my paste tomatoes. Now I mentioned earlier that I can plant a fall crop of tomatoes. Specifically this year, I'm going to do determinate varieties. Jackie says, when do you harvest pinto beans? One of my recent videos, hey David, thanks for joining us. Jackie, in one of my recent videos that I did not film live was a bean post, and it was specifically about harvesting bean seeds. Hang on just a sec. I'm sweating here. You can't see it. I'm sweating here. You want to harvest bean seeds, or the bean pods are dry. So I showed the video and it was just a simple video and I was shaking them. When those bean pods rattle, those beans are ready to harvest. So pinto beans are about 75 to 90 days because generally you're growing pinto beans for the seed, not the pod, like a green snap bean. So they take a little longer. Any kind of dry beans that you're going to be growing are going to take a little longer. So snap beans are about 60 days, whereas dry beans are about 75 to 90 days. So one, you can calculate how long it's been since you planted them. And two, you leave those pods on the plant until they're dry-ish. You pull them off and you let them dry. I always just leave them to dry in the pod. And then you can shake that pod and they rattles and they are ready to go, ready to be harvested. So I hope that answered your question. So I mentioned to you what I already pulled out and then what I already put in. David says I'm getting zucchini, peppers, and tomatoes now. I'm looking to start more chard, greens, fall veggies. So David is in a shorter season area. You get a frost and snow later than I do, and you get it earlier than I do. So those are some things that you want to consider is your frost dates. Oh, I almost missed it. But L. Benson says, November 2nd is my fall frost. I would like to start seeds for both red cabbage and green cabbage. Can you give me an idea of when I need to plant and tips on preparing soil or growing? So cabbage is a somewhat hungry plant. It does need some nutrients in your soil. So you definitely want to amend with compost or if you have aged manure, if you've got vermicompost like worm poop, or you can always add, what I like to add is mountain flower root boost. Hey, Monica, for all of my gardens, I put mountain flower root boost, and I know Monica is a huge fan of my root boost. And those cabbage varieties, I have to think off the top of my head, are about 90 days. They might be 100 because you always want to add a couple extra days. So again, take your frost date and count back 90 to 100 days, which actually is about right now. However, you also need to take into consideration that those cabbages are frost tolerant. So even if your frost date is November 2nd, there's a little bit of wiggle room because crops like cabbage, kale, turnips, rutabaga, those crops can not only tolerate frost, but turnips can get a little sweeter when they have a frost. So keep that into consideration. Even if you like say, okay, Mary, I don't have those seeds right now. I'm going to go and order them right now. And it might take 5 days to get to you. So I might be behind the power curve. Totally fine because you've got time. Even if your frost date is coming up on that time where you've got to plant right now or soon, those are frost tolerant. So not to worry, you still have plenty of time to plan for cabbage. So I'm looking at my list here of the 90 days. These are the later maturing, the longer maturing varieties that will take a little time. And those are the things that you want to focus on now if you want to plant them in your garden. And of course I had to make a list because I'm not very good at remembering stuff when it's 122 degrees outside and I'm literally sweating under my shirt. And rehydrating as I lose moisture. So I mentioned earlier, the key to a fall garden, a successful fall garden, is knowing your frost dates. So first know your frost date and then count back. These are all 90-day to maturity crops. You've got carrots, parsnips, rutabaga I mentioned, and that can actually be 50 days, but you can plant them now as well. Globe onions, so if you want a fall crop of onions, you can start onions as well. Brussels sprouts, I mentioned. Cabbage, we just discussed. Cauliflower and fava beans. So not everybody likes fava beans. Doc kind of gives me the grumble when I plant them. Same as with beets, and I just don't listen. I ignore them and keep planting anyway. So those are a handful of varieties that are 90 days that can plant a little bit kind of now. Christian says, do you have chickens anymore? Yes, sir, I do. So Christian has been with me since before we were in Texas. Even though you're in Texas, you're close by. We have chickens. We have had chickens for 3 months. I found a local she's actually a seed customer of mine, which is amazing. And my friend recommended her to me, and I drove over to her farm, and she actually hatches out her Easter eggers, and I purchased 13 of them. We're expanding our chicken coop next week, and they might start laying as early as September. It's hot outside, and these are a little more on the heat tolerant side, which I really appreciate. They got fluffy cheeks. So I'm pretty excited. I will be sharing pictures of my chickens shortly. Monica says that cup is phenomenal and his son. I love my cup. That's right. You have one of my cups as well. These are called tumblers, by the way. If you're interested in purchasing them at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, they're under t-shirts and gear. And we have a 20 ounce and a 30 ounce. Honestly, I tend to finish my water and there's still ice in this. So I just fill it back up with lemon water and keep going about my business. When I'm done here, I'm going to be making some spearmint tea because sometimes plain water gets really boring and I like add a little flavor to it. So what I do is I make spearmint tea and then I water it down a little bit with lots of ice. So that way it's not super strong. Totally sidetracked on the tea thing. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Today our topic is, when do I plan my fall garden? And the short answer, like I said, is right now. You don't want to get caught at the last minute and you go, oh my gosh, I got 60 days till my frost date and I haven't even planted my cabbage yet. So another question that some of my customers had was, well, Mary, you're saying it's 100 degrees out there and you're planting cabbage? So there are some crops that will bolt quickly, like cilantro. Cilantro can start to produce in 30 days. But if I plant my cilantro right now, it's just going to be flowers. I'm not really going to get much in the way of leafy cilantro for my salsa. I just made homemade salsa and it was amazing. You can actually plant cilantro indoors in a sunny windowsill and still get enough to do a little bit of a homemade salsa, which is delicious. I got onions from the garden. I got jalapenos. I got tomatoes. The last of my paste tomatoes, the determinate San Marzano, they tend to produce everything all at once, which is why if you follow me on social media, it's been like tomato madness with all of the paste tomatoes that I've been harvesting. But then those plants are done. So I pull them out and I'm like, hey, maybe I can start some fall stuff. So my fall garden is already in the works because I've just cleared an entire 4-foot by 8-foot bed. And now I'm looking at my list and I'm going, what can I plant? What can I plant? Denise says pictures. Yes, I know you follow me on social media, so lots. Jackie Jack says, when can you plant cilantro plants? Mine have white flowers on them and are falling over right now. Hey, Spartacus, thanks for joining us. So Jackie Jack asks about cilantro. You want to wait to plant cilantro until it's cooler. If you have flowers, you will have seeds very, very soon. So I just cleared a bunch of space. One of the spaces will have cilantro, not right now. I will be planting my cilantro. Keep in mind, again, it's really hot where I'm at, so it may not be as hot where you are. You may be able to plant cilantro. It typically bolts at about 80 degrees. Did I mention it's 100 and the feels like temperature is 122 here? I'm definitely not going to be planting cilantro. But if you live in an area that's cooler, and you live in an area that has a shorter growing season, so it might be getting cooler soon, you might be able to plant cilantro now. Otherwise, I would say hold off. Jackie Jacks, you said that you've got flowers. Just wait till you see the little balls all over your plant, and those are seeds. So save those seeds and plant more cilantro. I generally collect all the cilantro. I bag it up and I save it for later, but I always have volunteers in the garden, which is great. So let me just answer any questions. David says, I've been clearing my carrots and sometimes eating the greens, and some I'm using for cover over empty raised bed soil. That is an excellent idea. You can definitely keep carrots for a little longer. I would say carrots, if you want to grow carrots, they take forever to germinate and they take forever to produce. So plant them now. That's definitely, I mentioned it in my last video on what can I plant now. And carrots are a great option for right now. They can take 3 weeks to germinate. So by the time they're germinating, it might be a great time for you. Remembering to stay hydrated. It's been a crazy week. I don't know about you. Between the heat and all the things, it's been crazy. Alrighty, so any other questions before I sign off for the evening? I always try to keep my videos short and sweet. You don't need to hear about, what I ate for breakfast yesterday. It was eggs with homemade salsa, by the way. David says, I use small trenches with toilet paper and light cover of soil. Denise says, where do you get your energy? Caffeine? I don't know. You're the one to talk. You do a million things yourself. So I do try to keep, like I said, I try to keep my videos short and sweet. And today, especially since I'm literally I can feel the sweat dripping down my back. I don't really want to be out here too long. But I did cover everything. I covered everything except a seed sale. I don't do a lot of seed sales randomly, but I did decide to put burgundy ochre on sale right now. If you are shopping for new seeds right now, check out the burgundy ochre seeds. They're $1 a pack. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? The pack says 20 seeds, but I can guarantee you there's more than 20 seeds per pack, because I love to give extra seeds. And you can definitely plant okra right now. Christian says flowers. So in my recent email, I sent out about heat tolerant flowers. Cosmos, bachelor button, sunflower, marigolds, I completely spaced on the last one. Hey, Deborah. Completely forgot. Bachelor button, cosmos, marigolds, sunflowers. Sorry. In the description section of this video, you will find a link to my email. So if you have these kinds of questions, you'll get an email and not get me on the spot. So when I'm done with my video, I will comment I'll make a comment. I'm missing one more. I for the life of me cannot remember what it is. But I will tell you this. For fall, somebody did ask me that question. Nasturtiums, thank you very much. Someone did ask me, zinnias, thank you, Monica. You get my email and you know. Zinnias are heat tolerant. They love this heat. I posted recently, Deborah says, yes, zinnias. I posted on my Facebook page today, so many different zinnias. They are growing in my front yard in 120 degree heat. They are not wilting. They are thriving. So that's a really good one. David says, what is a good amaranth to grow for popping like corn or using like a grain? I would say, okay, so my favorite is, Monica says, zinnias. My favorite for production wise is red garnet amaranth. So if you really want a plant that's going to produce the most amount of seeds, in my experience, red garnet amaranth is the best. It produces a massive head of flowers and you can save those seeds. I'm looking at Love Light. No, not Love Light's Bleeding. I'm looking at Hopi Red Dye over there and hopefully I can get a video for you. I've tried to get videos done recently, but with life in general happening, I've tried to get seed orders done first and foremost because life happens. If you follow me on social media myself, you'll know that I had a minor crisis 2 days ago and I'm still kind of recovering from that. So seed orders have taken precedent and videos have taken a back seat and I apologize for that. I will try to get more videos that aren't live posted. So hopefully I can get you a seed saving for amaranth. I'm looking at this gorgeous Hopi Red Dye amaranth right now and it's fan-freaking-tastic. Who's there says, hello, Mary and chat. So just to recap, we discussed when we should start planning our fall garden, and that is now. When you should be planting is a whole nother story. It depends on your frost dates. Burgundy okra seeds are on sale. Seed giveaways over. In the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide. I sign up for my email. You won't find a link to these tumblers, but you should check them out. Monica loves them. I love them. I think my mom likes it. She sends me pictures of her coffee every couple weeks or so. David says, I'm already planning for growing next year. Yay, me too. I have a wish list of specific varieties that I want to add to it. Oh, who's there says I'm Monica too. Great. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm gonna go inside and cool down now. It's hot out here. If you have any questions, if you don't know this already, you can always send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. And yes, I actually answer my own emails. If you've got a question that I didn't answer, just send me an email. I don't mind. I get people that say, this is a dumb question, but I was like, hey, there is no dumb question. Just answer. Ask, and I'll answer. Alrighty, everybody. Thanks for joining me and happy planting.